an email that we received from Marcella. She says, I have a friend who is in a non-denominational church. She called it a Bible church. She says they believe in the real presence. I told her that was not possible, but she insisted. She said, if you don't believe it, you're not supposed to receive it, whatever they eat as Eucharist. Could you let me know which Christians believe in the real presence? I also have a friend who is married to a Baptist. She said that they receive communion once a year. Is that possible? Thanks, Marcella.
Okay, thanks, Marcella. Appreciate the question. So it's highly unusual, it's not typical for so-called Bible church Christians to believe in the doctrine of the real presence. Now, I can think of several scenarios under which that may make a certain degree of sense. One of them is that, first of all, Bible churches are radically independent from one another. All right, so you can have an idiosyncratic pastor who goes his own way on some issues. And my suspicion is that the thing is more nuanced than you're being told. There is a Calvinist doctrine about the Eucharist that's very subtle and I think kind of silly, to be honest with you. But John Calvin, Protestant theologian, believed in the real presence, but not locally. That sounds weird. It was weird. Calvin's view was that when a believer received the Eucharist, a believer,
No.
that the Holy Spirit would mystically unite the physical body of Jesus and the body of believers such that he communed with Christ's actual body and blood, but at a distance. All right, so that it was a mystical communion, not a communion in his salivary glands and tongue and mouth and cheeks and teeth. All right, so that you weren't swallowing Jesus, but nevertheless you were still in communion with his body and blood. All right, it's called the mystical presence view. And there are some, not very common among Bible church pastors, but there are some Bible church type folks that would probably hold Calvin's view and would represent it as the real presence. But what they mean by that language is something different from what Catholics mean. The actual bodily, locally present real presence via transubstantiation confessed by the Catholic Church, I would be exceedingly surprised to find any Bible church pastor who held that. Now, whether he holds it or not, he ain't got it. All right, because you don't have the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist unless you have a validly ordained Catholic priest or validly ordained priest with apostolic succession who is effecting the sacrament, who is uttering the words of institution. All right, empowered by Christ to do so. If I do that, if Tom does that, if some Bible church pastor does that, it just stays bread and wine. No matter what he might represent it as the real presence, but he ain't got it. And in terms of historically, who believes in the doctrine of the real presence? Well, of course, all the Catholics do.
Yes.
The Orthodox do, and their various communions. Some Anglicans believe in it, but they hadn't got it.
Okay.
They believe in it, but they don't have it. The Lutherans believe in the real presence, but not the doctrine of transubstantiation. They believe in the real presence, they just don't think it comes by way of transubstantiation. And again, they believe in it, but they don't have it.
Okay. And what about the whole Baptist church once a year baptism?
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Baptists receive their Lord's Supper. It's not Holy Communion. They receive their Lord's Supper infrequently, and it's going to vary from church to church. Some might do it once a month. Some might do it once a quarter. It doesn't surprise me to hear of a particular congregation that does it once a year.
Okay, very good. And we thank you so much.